Hey, it's August 19th, and we find ourselves in 2 Kings chapters 24 and 25, as well as 2 Chronicles chapter 36. I think we've all had plans that did not turn out the way we thought they would. If only we had known the results, maybe we would have done things different. Today's passage shows us how ignoring God's plan for us never turns out anywhere near as good as we think it will. Not even close. In these three chapters, we get a summary of the final four kings of Judah. Starting in 2 Chronicles 36, Jehoahaz was king for 3 months until the king of Egypt removed him and appointed Eliakim as king instead, changing his name to Jehoiakim. The name change was a way of the king of Egypt telling Eliakim, now Jehoiakim, "You serve me, and you are who I say you are." Jehoiakim survives as king when Babylon takes over and submits to Nebuchadnezzar for 3 years before getting tired of it. He tried to rebel and was taken captive to Babylon. This came about as a judgment from God for all the evil Jehoiakim had done. Next, Jehoiachin became king of Judah at only 18 years old. After 3 months, Nebuchadnezzar conquered Jerusalem. Jehoiachin surrendered and was taken to Babylon as well, along with everyone else who lived or worked in the palace. In fact, Nebuchadnezzar left only the poorest of the poor in Judah. Nebuchadnezzar took all the gold items from out of the temple and set up Mattaniah as king, changing his name to Zedekiah. After 11 years, Zedekiah finally has enough of Babylonian rule and tries to revolt. And we already know what happened to him from yesterday's reading in Jeremiah chapters 38 through 40. Now the rest of the gold, silver, and bronze is removed from the temple. Any priests and officials the Babylonian had missed before were executed, and Gedaliah was appointed governor by Nebuchadnezzar. But he was assassinated by the Jews 7 months later. Many in Judah fled to Egypt, not wanting to see how Babylon was going to respond to the assassination. As a side note, we see that Jehoiachin was released from prison by a king after Nebuchadnezzar and lived out the rest of his days as one of the highest officials in Babylon. Back in 2 Chronicles 36, we read that the 70-year captivity was not a random length of time, but God's way of letting the land enjoy the Sabbath rest that the Jews had refused to honor. God's law would be kept, one way or another. And Ezra closes 2 Chronicles with King Cyrus of Persia's proclamation allowing the Jews to return to Israel and rebuild the temple. That proclamation is also recorded in Ezra chapter 1, verses 2 and 3. So what can we take away from today's passages? First, the final 4 kings of Judah graphically illustrate how going against God's will never ends well, and that the land of Israel finally got the Sabbath rest that the Jews should have been keeping all along shows that God's will always be accomplished, no matter how hard people may try to do otherwise. My prayer for us today is that we would embrace God's plan for our lives instead of fighting against it, knowing that it is the best way for us to live. To try and live otherwise never ends well for us. If you haven't done so already, please download our Through the Bible reading plan at aspericommunitychurch.org/throughthebible. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.